Let's talk about burnout.
You want to do all the drugs right now?
Is that how you get through burnout?
I think that's how you cause burnout.
Yeah, how do you deal with burnout?
Oh, I don't. I just keep going.
That's
and then
it.
I sleep on. I'm like Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who, if anyone's ever read the biography about her, she slept 2 hours a week 2 hours a day, 2 hours a night during the weekdays, and then slept 12 plus hours on the weekends, even when she was in her 90s.
That's the key to living.
That's the pinnacle, and that's kind of where I sit.
Yeah. And you're okay with that?
It's how I live, man.
Yeah, but like, is it how you want to live?
I don't know. It's what I'm used to. This is back to when I was working catering. Like, I didn't know what my shift was until the night before.
Yeah.
So some days I'll have to begin at 3 a.m. Some days I'll be in at 11:30. Like, it just, and you're just going to take your opportunities when you take them.
Yeah, but there's a difference between like tolerating something and like choosing to like.
Yeah. Well, for me, it's a lot of the. This comes back to probably work-life balance, and just there's a lot more I want to do and just not enough time in a day to do it.
Yeah, so maybe you need to set different expectations for yourself.
Probably. I don't know. I have a personal problem of I'm able to compartmentalize a lot of things in my life. Like, if I'm not at work, I don't mind. If you put me on vacation for a day, sure, you don't exist to me anymore, and I'll see you in 2 days, and then I come back in, I'm like, who are you again? Oh, and then I gotta like unlock that box.
Yeah.
To continue doing what I'm doing. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. Not always, but usually when I go home, I'm home, and I'm working on something else, and I get into it, and I just want to continue that.
Yeah, but you work too much. You physically are working more hours than you probably should. Don't you think?
I mean, today I spent an hour talking to my team and causing everyone else to be less productive because I wanted to be less productive today. So, I mean, I think it evens out.
That's... I'm sure there was a good reason for it.
No, there wasn't.
Yeah, but there's something to be said about, like, taking a break.
Yeah, a mental break and just kind of doing something that's different.
It's one way to deal with burnout. How does your team deal with it? Because it sounds like you don't. You just crash on the weekends, like, but during the week you just deal with...
Generally, yeah.
Yeah. How does your team deal with it?
Some people are just better at it than others. So like they actually keep themselves on a more of a strict schedule. Like, I'm starting at this time, I'm ending at this time. I've got other members that, they don't work hours, they work the problem. So they're going to do what it takes to solve it, even if that means that they should not be doing it anymore. So like, so they'll get themselves in a habit of like working a 12-hour day, and it's like, you didn't need to do, like, nobody's asking you to do that.
Yeah. And you have to like drag them away from their computer. Usually when people do that, they don't, it never plays to their favor. It's never like, oh, I'm caught up, I'm ahead, so I'm going to leave early.
Right. Yeah. It's the thing that's in the back of their head of, well, I feel like I had to do it because I'm behind, or there's more to do, or I might be a little ahead now, but if I do more, I'll be more ahead, so that I don't have to do, so I can do less later, and then less later never happens because you're always in that mental state of, I got to keep going. They take the pat on the back kind of thing of like, hey, we did it, and then their next question is,
what's next?
Well, it's who can we help?
Yeah.
Like, where do you guys need help? Because like, our work is done. Like,
and that team also will work themselves to death and be glad about it when they
solve the problem.
Yeah. I every team deals with it differently. I think you've had to tell people to take time off, and they've begrudgingly done it.
Yep.
That's a tough one. Or even like one of the things we do to kind of like lower the pressure is slow down and celebrate success. And I know some people hate that because they're like, no, I want to keep working harder, because the thought of future problems gives me anxiety. I need to
work the problem that's in front of me right now.
Yeah, or the problem that's going to be in front of me in 3 weeks. I can't sit like until everything is done. And the thing about being a developer is like you're never done.
You're never done.
Yeah. I think when you don't take time to pause and celebrate or just slow down, you get burned out. And
Yeah.
it's definitely a mindset.
Like, I want to keep moving, right? I want a well-oiled machine. I want an engine that keeps on chugging. And downtime to me is like, it gives me anxiety to some degree because it's time I could be doing anything else,
Yeah.
right? So like if it's an hour at the end of the day, then it's like, well, I know I can leave for an hour, but like it just feels like it's a waste of time at that point. Like I feel like I should be doing something. And again, part of that's probably my prior work experience.
But
and things
resting
like that.
is recovering for the next day. There's something to be said about that.
There's also something to be said about having a plan and having it be well like executed to
Yeah.
a T, right?
But you could just say like spend that hour, write out how you want your tomorrow to go. That takes what, 15 minutes?
Well, for me, that's a tomorrow problem.
And then, well, yeah, but then you leave and you come back tomorrow well rested with a solid plan in place, and
Yeah, honestly, so one of our developers, even this past weekend, he was struggling with a problem, and I was like, "Hey, how many hours did he work?" I've worked about 50 some. Dude, you worked way too much. Go, like, I know you want to solve this, and let's spend 15 minutes and just talk through this, like whatever it is, and go sleep or something else that's not work.
at 50 hours you're making mistakes. Like your brain
Yeah,
is,
well, yeah. You're just trying things to make something work.
yeah.
And he came in this morning and figured it out. So, that time away from it, I mean, there's always something to be said about walk away from the problem if you're struggling.
There's like sleep is like what our body needs to be able to think.
Yeah.
So when you're working and you're not, and also too, like when you're constantly looking at the same problem, you sort of develop these grooves in your brain where you can't think outside of that groove, and you sort of get locked into a bunch of these presuppositions. Go to sleep, get out of that groove, come back, boom. Like watch TV.
Yeah.
Veg. And you'll be surprised. Like, yeah, the solution just kind of comes to you.
Yeah.
Any other advice you'd give to like somebody who's currently undergoing burnout at their job?
I mean, I think the biggest thing is, and I think it's a hard thing, is recognize it in yourself and let people be aware of it. Because honestly, the team might not realize you're struggling through that.
Yeah.
And they might also be feeling that same sentiment. And to your point, like sometimes the answer is, you know what, we're running way too fast, or we're running ourselves ragged. Like we got to slow down. So, I mean, but I know, so like, I'm talking about myself and my burnout. Like I know you do as well. So like, how do you handle it?
How do I handle burnout?
Yeah. Minecraft.
Yeah. I come home and I don't talk to anybody. No, my burnout is different because I feel like I deal with so much
Social.
yeah, like I'm like a developer is gonna like focus on a project or a problem, and whereas I'm throughout the day I'm presented with a dozen different unrelated, equally difficult problems. Some are social, some are financial, some are like, and when I go home, and so one thing I did is I stopped working from home. Like I could not handle working from home. I live in a 2-bedroom apartment. So my rest and my work area were combined. That killed me.
Yeah.
So not working from home helped tremendously. But when I'm in the office, I'm working. When I'm home,
You're home.
I'm home. I'm not thinking about work. Fortunately we got a good team. I don't have to monitor servers anymore at night. That was a huge part of my stress. We have a good team around me now to take care of that. But now I got to worry about their burnout, making sure they're supported. And I sometimes come in, but for me, it's more just the emotional baggage that comes with the job and just learning I like to remind myself that like no one's going to die if I fail at my job. We act like the world is going to end, and people get really frustrated. They get really heated in meetings. I get yelled at a lot at work. And in those moments, I just try to remind myself that like at the end of the day, this is just work. Like,
yeah.
Health is more important. Your family's more important. And to just like, not that I don't care, because I do care. I care a lot actually, but I care an appropriate amount. So I think just how I deal with stress is just recognizing the putting work into perspective and realizing that I can shut my computer if
and it'll be okay.
And it'll be okay. Yeah, like just come back to it tomorrow. You're not gonna you're not gonna solve all the problems. Like be okay with a to-do list that isn't complete. Like again, I sound like a terrible like employee, but like if I measure success based on me getting everything I plan to do done, I will never be successful in life. If I measure my success as spend the time I have in the most meaningful way possible each day, I can not cross a thing off my to-do list, but I still leave work knowing I maximize my day because I'm presented with things every day that I wasn't even planning on dealing with.
Yeah.
And for me to get upset that I didn't get to my list, first, that's kind of a selfish mindset to have. It's my list.
Yeah.
Like I'm there.
How dare you add something to my list?
I'm there to serve everybody. So yeah, interrupt me, disrupt me. That's okay. My list. And there might be something on my list that I need to get done. And in those moments, I'll maybe work a little extra.
Or you ask, and I know I do this to you all the time. You ask, hey, this is my list. This is your list. Help me organize. And again, like help me organize and prioritize what needs to actually get done.
Yeah. I might ask you to cover for a meeting for me, or you might do the same. Like,
and I have the same thing with my developers as well. Like they're not usually meeting heavy, but every once in a while we might have a production bug. I need to pull somebody away. And then the question is, okay, like when is this due? When is this due? Which one comes first? Now, usually it's pretty straightforward, but every once in a while that discussion just has to be had and just has to be clear.
Yeah. Perspective. I think everybody needs it in their job. You're working 60 hours a week. I think the immediate thing you need to do is to stop. Just
shut down.
Don't do that. Like, and because you're not productive for those 60 hours. You're productive for like the first 45, 50, and then you're making stupid mistakes for the last 10 that are going to eat up into your next week because you're going to fix them.
Yeah.
You're better off just not working 60 hours a week.
Yeah.
Work less. Communicate with your team more. Get some freaking perspective. Like, perspective can help. And this is an unpopular opinion in 2023, but maybe consider not working from home if you have a hard time, or if you have a large enough home where you can create a dedicated workspace.
That is the number one thing that people say if you're ever going to work from home. Is you need a dedicated workspace that has a physical
boundary,
like whether a door or something, because you can shut it and don't look at it, or it's you walk through the threshold and like it is a different space. Yeah.